Good evening, this is Melissa with the StockSwoosh.com, and tonight I am doing a review on Apple's gap down from last week on the 24th. Apple actually had earnings report last week. It was Thursday, right here, this gap down here. Apple opened, actually I just noticed this here, it opened right at the whole number at 460. Look at that. Look at that right there. Unbelievable. Okay, here's the thing. I saw this gap down that happened. I forget why it was on the 14th. This gap right here that happened with Apple, I don't remember if it was a pre-announcement of the earnings. I don't remember the reason for this gap, but this gap was real. This was real and significant. And when I knew the earnings were coming out, I looked at the chart and I said, you know what, if this gap's down, this is going to be a good gap, or what I would call a golden gap. And it did gap down. Now, no one knows when the earnings come out if they're going to gap up or down, but obviously in this case, it gapped down, and here it is. And the target on Apple is $400. Okay, this is here. This is the target. 425, 400. Right in this area here. Right here. See this? 420, 425. Yeah, I mean, I think $400. Let me just look at this here. We didn't squish down. Okay, for this top of these guys here, that's the first target. We didn't get there on Friday's trading, so we will get there at least, okay? 426, 424, 425. We're going to squish down on these people here, 425, and if we break under this gap up that happened right here, if we break under 415, wow, if we break under 420, 415, then we're down in here. We're down in here. We're going to go down right in here, $400. And then what's going to happen, then I think Apple's a buy, okay? Then I think it's a buy. Apple isn't going to fall off the planet here. It's, you know, this is just, remember, stocks are living, breathing things that are traded by human beings that are living, breathing human beings. And the stock has now had a devastating professional bearish gap down. This chart has been climbing up forever. Went up to $700. If you've been in this thing and saw that number and you were in this position long, shame on you for not taking some profits. Okay, come on, all right? At some point, you have to take the money and run. And it did a double top in here right when it booped. Okay, this is back in September, right over 700. And it went up to actually 705. First professional bearish gap on this stock was right after the double top. I know it was a green bar in the day. And probably nobody in the world thought that this was going to do what this did. But it did, and the market did it too. And then it pulled itself all the way down and in. But this was the first one, 924. And if you didn't do that one, you could have did this one here at 926. So you had opportunities to take your profits off if you were in this long for the whole move, or half the move, or quarter of the move, or any of the move to make this money in this long. But the point is, it's been dropping down for some time. I'm sure some people thought it would hold in here. And really, when it didn't hold that 600 level on this gap down here that happened in November, you know, this thing was for sure lower. All right, it was. So then, obviously, it's gapped down several times since then, and the target is really $400. All right, and I think at $400, large money positions will come in and buy the stock. $400 is not quite half the move back down from the highs. It still would be holding more than 50% of the move that it's had, and it would be a decent buy down there for anyone that would want to buy it as a core swing or long trade. Now, you can't really do that until it actually does what is called a professional bullish gap, but it may very well do that somewhere down in here. I mean, I hate to say, do I even say it? I mean, looking at this now, looking at this even closer, I mean, I'm going to change what I'm saying. I think 350 is the actual target here. I think half the move back is the actual real target. Looking at this, this is more poignant as a number than what I just said than 400. Somewhere between 400 and 350 is going to be a buy. And who and where and when will depend on how the stock sets up and the formation of a professional bullish gap. That's when you take positions in stocks, when the direction proves itself to be in a change of a trend. Right now, the trend is down. Therefore, you do not buy the stock. You don't pick bottoms. You wait until it comes into an area and starts to hold itself, and then you still don't buy it. What do? You're looking for a real turn of a change in trend, which in this case would be a professional bullish gap up. How will I know that? I'll know it when I see it, when it does it. But actually looking at this now, geez, I think 350 is the number it's going to come into. Once, if it breaks under here, under these little guys. 3 little trading days, but very significant. Back here in October, it was. October of 2011. 3 trading days, but this is a bullish gap up. Very significant. So we'll see what happens. If you did Apple on the day it gapped, it was a rough play. You would have had to be very patient, and you would have had to have 100% conviction to stick with the trade. I knew that it was a professional bearish gap down, and I knew it was a good gap. The thing is, the size of the gap was enormous. You would have had to be very patient to get it and wait for it to rally into resistance area, which it did. It rallied up to about 465.75, 465.73, and you would have had to wait and take it on the 15-minute. Can't take it here. How do you know it's going to hold here? It's been rallying. It's quite late in the day here now. 10:30, 10:45 is late for me to start getting into play. I knew, though, that this would break down under the low of the day, which was 450. And you know, it did it. It did it. It did it into the close and then ran out of day and then ran the next day, too. But here was a nicer entry with a nicer stop when it started basing out here into the lunchtime period. And then it started breaking down at 12 o'clock. And then it just ran out of day here. Okay? And the next day continued. Many, many days, that's what happens. These gaps have beautiful golden gaps, professional bearish gaps down. If they don't go solid red from the start of the open to the close of the day, and they wiggle and jiggle or rally up a little bit, which this did, they will continue the next day, and sometimes the next day and the next day. This thing is actually going to continue on Monday. I'm quite sure of it. I know it held 435 to the penny down here, it looks like. Let me just see how that did that exactly on Friday. Boy, is that unusual. All right, this is pre-market stuff. Wait, let me just look at why did that bounce off that number like that? Oops. Hold 1 second. I have no idea why that did that bar like that. It did it the last 2 minutes of the day. It did that huge big bottoming tail and bounced and closed right up here. It was odd. I don't know why it did that down to that 435 number, but it's going to continue lower again on Monday. It may just bleed, okay, to 425, 400. It may have a tiny rest day on Monday and then go on Tuesday. It may wiggle and jiggle a little bit, but I don't think that this has had such a big red day yet like it could. The only thing I'm concerned about is the size of the gap from here to here. It might rest Monday now that I'm looking at it. The size of the gap from here to here and then the 2 red days, it may rest on Monday, but for sure it'll be lower this week. I think this sees $400. I think this sees the break of these bars in here this week. Okay? That's what I think. Monday, it may just rest. Just see if 435 was anything. No, it wasn't. Okay? I don't know why that bounced off that whole number, but maybe it's going to rest on Monday and then just drop into the rest of the week. And if it breaks under these guys here, it's going to see $400 pretty darn quick. You know what's going to happen? It may rest and wiggly jiggly, and once this break happens, okay, this 415, 416 number here, it's going to go whoop, like that. And then it's going to have a nice big solid red day, like one of these days. Okay? So you have to be on the watch for it. Because there were some tails in it on Thursday. It was a little tough to get. How to stick with it, how to have the conviction. And it traded nicer on Friday, but really not perfectly. All right? So this was a nice gap on Thursday. If you wanted to short it, you could have done it. I really just stuck with it. even though you would have had to wait until the lunchtime hour to get it. It had that nice little base there into the lunch and on the 15-minute breakdown. And this is Apple. Apple is not falling off the face of the planet. It's just pulling in. It's a chart that's been rallying up since the beginning of time, okay, and now is coming in hard. So this is just the way that these things act sometimes. And remember, the Qs have been sideways and trending in a bearish frame with this. So you just kind of have to play it out. There'll be a time when this thing fixes itself. It's not right now, and it's not going to be for a little bit. And we'll have to see how it acts around that 400 level, because 350 might really be the number there now that I see it. Either way, you don't pick bottoms in trading. You wait for a professional bullish gap to show the change in trend, and we'll be looking for that after it gets way more down. It's got a long way to go, and we're just going to watch it and play it out. And there's a lot of stocks that were sympathy plays with this Apple gap on earnings on Thursday, and those things are going to keep creeping down lower too. Unfortunately, you know, Apple's pulling them all down. So this is Melissa with thestockswoosh.com. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. I am having an open house in my Stock Swoosh trading room this week on Wednesday, January 30th, Thursday, January 31st, and Friday, February 1st. If you're interested or would like more information on how to join the open house free days for the room, please feel free to contact me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. Thanks and have a great night.